Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Indians Baseball. It's time for 2026 Indians Baseball season. And with us now to preview the season is Thad Marchman, head coach of the Charlton County Baseball Tribe, and here's Sammy Hendricks, your host. Sammy?
All right, Coach, how you been?
Doing very well. Thanks for asking.
No, Coach, I was thinking about this show all day today and what some of the questions to ask. You going back and looking at the end of the season last year. Of course, the disappointment to everybody. Always is when you get knocked out a little early and don't make it to the championship rounds of the thing. But you've had a long 9 or 10 months to sit around and not do anything. But baseball is here now. Start out. Y'all been practicing for a couple of weeks now. How's it been? How's the things going? Having to make some changes with the cold weather. Are you able to do normal practices with the weather the way it's been, or are you having to go inside and make some changes?
The weather hasn't been an issue. We planned on having a work day here on last Saturday, and we were going to practice that day as well, but we decided not to do that just because we didn't want to ask people to come out here and help us clean up the stadium and get the field ready and the dugouts ready, and when it was 20 degrees outside. So that's really the only day that made any change. And other than that, it's been normal. We've been doing it. It's always like this. I mean, every year, this time of year, it's going to be cold, and we know it. And we just tell the players, let's not complain about it, and just
right.
do the best we can in it.
Well, early preseason, it's game time. It's go time now. Starting tomorrow with a preseason game over the islands. What have been some of the challenges with some new players coming in to start this 2026 season?
A lot. The challenges are you really try to find a way to replace what you lost. And when you lose, someone like David Walters, who, started the season as our number 5 pitcher and ended up the season probably our number 1, who's an excellent center fielder and an excellent leadoff batter who's the Charlton County all-time stolen base leader. You know what I mean? It's a big loss because he plays two prime positions, center field and pitcher. And then you lose both your starting catchers in Chase Roden and Eli Hobbs. So, now we have we're putting a big load on Colton Beard to take up that mantle in behind the plate. And, Brantley's going to move over from right field to center field. And he plays the outfield very well, so we feel good about that. But now we're trying to fill out some spots on the infield that before it seemed like it was kind of already you had a good idea, but now we're going to have people this year moving all over the place. Right. We're going to have a guy playing first base, third base, shortstop. That's going to happen. Right. We're going to have a guy play second base, catcher, pitcher. I'm not saying it's all going to happen in the same game, but it will happen in the same game tomorrow because we want to see these people in these different spots and how they do in a game situation versus another opponent.
Right. You're speaking of those changes in we have 4 guys graduate last year, but the three big losses. You got new kids coming in, new challenges coming up. How do you keep those kids that are, especially the ones that are just now coming up from maybe the JV team or the middle school team? Not so much the ones that's been on the varsity for the last couple of years. How do you keep those kids mentally challenged to get ready to play?
Well, kind of indirectly, you want the players to help you with that, the returning players. You have people like Griffin Thomas who started every varsity game of his high school career. Right. So you expect him to help you coach along those guys and to get them to practice to the standard that we expect. And then, of course, you have, some benefits like Colton. We talked about Colton taking over behind the plate. Well, he was able to play a lot of varsity innings at first base last year. And then, Grant Harris started almost all of last year. So these returning varsity players, you really kind of lean on them to help the standard of practice and how things are going to go and the expectations and things like that. And it's really good when those guys take on that responsibility. I think it helps them too. It helps them to be better players, and it helps the younger players to understand what the expectation is.
Right. And just feeding off that a little bit. What are some of the biggest challenges for you as your coaches to get the guys prepared to get ready for this long season that we have?
Well, there's some things that like a batting stance, that's going to be different all the way down the order, or the type of pitches a pitcher throws. But there's some things that are kind of non-negotiable, and this is the toughest thing where you're trying to teach techniques that you want them to start to put to work, even though they're not working for them at the time, because that's how you learn, and players want to go back to what feels comfortable. And so the biggest challenge is in base running, some specific things that we want them to do, some footwork when they're preparing their arm to throw, just things like that. It's basically, I think it's fundamental things, but apparently it's not that fundamental because they're very difficult to grasp and it takes time. And that's kind of been the biggest challenge, especially with the younger guys.
Right. Well, I heard you over here talking to the kids real briefly there at the end of practice. How big is it to have so many starters coming back as leaders? How much do you depend on them when it comes to things like I heard you mention getting to school on time, doing your class work, et cetera? How big or how much do you depend on them? How big is it to have those seniors with those leader responsibilities?
It's the primary goal. We talk about it all the time. Like we love to win baseball games, but we can't play a baseball game without Charlton County High School. So without this venue, we don't have the opportunity to compete in this game we're having tomorrow. So that is the primary, the job one is to take care of business in the classroom and with your parents and your friends and things like that, so that you're on the right track all day long, so that you're in the proper mindset to go and compete in a baseball game in Savannah at 6 o'clock at night that you had to travel 2 hours to go to. So,
right.
Taking care of business at school is job one.
We got a long schedule ahead of us. We got non-region, region games. How tough, or how do you prepare the players to get ready for, especially the region rivalry games that we have coming up?
Well, it's one game at a time. The way I do it, I've learned that no matter what I say or do, that players are going to put a little more emphasis on one game versus the next, and we really shouldn't do that because they're all important. And next year with the power rankings, that even becomes more so.
Right.
In this particular situation, we're just looking at tomorrow's game and seeing what people can do in different spots and seeing who remembers the things that we worked on in practice and who can actually put it to work in a competitive situation. But when it comes to the season and whether it's a regular season game or a region game, we do talk about the standings and what we need to do to be here. And our goal is to be region champs. And we fell short of that goal last year. Lanier was the region champ, and they deserved it. And so we're trying to find whatever it takes to get back to what we had before. And that's challenging because it's kind of – it hurts your feelings when you lose what you had before.
Right.
And so we're just trying to find a way to get that back. And it's going to be a tough task, but that's just how it goes. We just have to get better and play better and beat better teams. And you can only beat the team that's in front of you.
That's right.
So that's the one you prepare for, and then hopefully along the way you just get a little bit better and better and better. And then in the end, it shakes out where it is.
Well, speaking of the players, tell us a little about the team this year. Some newcomers may be coming in, or some of the guys moving up from the middle school up to the JV, which could have opportunity to play on the varsity level. Some, if they get that chance. Tell us a little about that team. What do we expect to see out of them this year?
Well, this year, we're working well with the junior high. Mr. Popham, Coach Popham, he took over the middle school team this year, and we're very thankful that he did that. It helped us out a lot. But we took several of his players, to play on our JV team. We took AJ, we took Benton, Emery, and Daniel, and these guys are out here, playing with these varsity and JV guys because we want to see them excel faster. We want to see that for all of them, but it makes it tougher on the junior high team because we took some good players from them. But as far as how it affects us in the long run, we hope that's going to be better for them. And then as far as newcomers are, Slade Oxley's one who played JV for us last year, and he's going to have a significant role on our varsity team this year. We're going to, Brantley Nettles had a really good season last year. We're going to expect more of him this year, and also on the mound this year as well. We are fortunate to have several people who played varsity innings last year who are gonna be in the lineup this year. But we also do have some new people coming in. Gabe Hewling's going to have a chance to get some at bats. Cameron Edwards is going to have a chance to. Grant Lawrence started for us last year, and then just kind of went in a slump, and now he's right back in there. He's going to be right back in there again. So we're looking for performance fast, and we are fortunate that we got a couple of guys on the bench who can come in when we're having some lulls or some down times, and we can have a pick-me-up with these guys coming in off the bench. So I'm looking forward to that, for these guys competing for a spot and just seeing what they can do. And then whenever you get your shot, to see how you react to that. That's a big deal for any team who's looking to win.
But, obviously the main goal of every high school baseball team that plays and every coach, your main goal is to win a state championship. That's your ultimate goal to get at. Other than that, what is your goal for this team this year?
Well, so we don't talk about those types of things. Like we have been tremendously blessed to been able to play for the state championship a few times, and I'm so thankful for that. But when we're sitting in that clubhouse, we're not talking about state championships. Right. We're talking about region championships, because that's the first goal that's in front of us. And we have to compete against our region, and that's going to determine where we are in the playoff bracket. And generally, the better you do in your region, the better spot you have in the playoff bracket. So we do talk about region championships, but right now we just mention that here and there, like if we do this, is this going to help us be a region champion? No. Well, why are we doing it? Right. This is going to help us be a region. Let's do this. So we do mention it like that, but our goal as a team is a region championship. After that, then we'll start setting new goals.
Gotcha. So tomorrow starts the 2026 season, preseason game over at the Islands. Without giving away too much, we always, I guess at least for the last few years that I know that you do, usually on when it comes to pitching, usually have a pitcher pitch one inning throughout the 7 innings. That kind of the basis set for tomorrow.
The exact same. We have 7 guys who know when they're going to pitch tomorrow during the game. We have 2 guys on ready 5 to come in a situation where we need them. So we actually have 9 pitchers ready to go tomorrow. So that's a blessing and a benefit, and we just need to see which one of those guys are going to step up, take the ball, and go do the job that we ask them to do. So I wasn't kidding. When you're going to see people like, this guy's going to be playing here, then he's going to pitch, and he's going to play here. Like these guys are going to be moving all over the place tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, you can't do much, a lot really in the preseason, especially with the weather it's been when he's comes to the kids' arms. How's the pitching staff? I mean, what have you seen out of them so far in this preseason?
Well, we had a throwing program that we acclimated them to before Christmas break. And then we had the week, the Georgia High School Arm Acclimation Week, where we were able to condition and throw. So, up to this point, we're ready to go. We're not asking nobody to go out there and throw 7 innings. We're not asking nobody to go out there and throw 5 innings. But right now we do have guys who have pitched up to 3 innings, 4 innings. So now the next step would be 4 or 5 innings, So we're as far as that progression goes, we're kind of on track there. But we have to do the job better. We haven't been pitching at practice and in our scrimmages the way that I want us to. But I think we're working towards it. So we'll see how I'm very interested to see how tomorrow goes. It's going to be it's going to be fun.
So let's talk just real briefly about the region play. Lanier's going to be there. We're going to be there. Clinch is going to be there. Who is an upcoming team that you think maybe one to compete against a little, or maybe better this year than they have been in the last couple of years in our region?
Well, there's a huge change this year where the coaches in our regions got together and made a decision that, they didn't want to play the doubleheaders no more. I wanted to play them, and Lanier wanted to play them. Everybody else was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I felt like that the doubleheaders are huge in helping you prepare for the playoffs. It has helped us prepare for the playoffs for many years, and I thought I had a pretty good argument, but I lost out. And so the schedule's completely changed. So, Lanier has back-to-back state champions, and they returned just about all the same guys. So that they're our preseason favorite in our region. Clinch is going to be a better team this year. Atkinson County's got a couple of good pitchers. They're going to be pretty good this year. So, it doesn't get any easier. I think that without the doubleheaders, it just kind of convolutes things a little bit. It doesn't necessarily when you play those double headers, especially when you played one game on Tuesday and 2 games on Friday, you determine who the best team is.
All right.
But now we're going to play this guy here, this guy here, this guy here. So, I'm not really a fan of the change, but the change is the change, and that's our schedule now. We interrupted our normal schedule making to change it. It was surprising to me, but that's where we are, and that's what we're going to do. So you just got to, whoever's in front, let's go. Let's play that game.
Right. Looking at non-schedule, you're playing some pretty good teams non-schedule as well. Talk a little bit about those teams.
Well, let me say one thing about our region. If we would have had the PowerPoints last year, 5 teams from our region would have made the playoffs, and 1 team would have made it if they'd won one more game.
Wow.
So with the PowerPoints and the schedule we played last year with all those doubleheaders, we had a real shot at 6 teams from our region making the playoffs.
Wow.
If the power rankings had been in effect.
Last year. Now, 5 teams would have been in for sure.
Wow.
5 teams.
Wow.
But for some reason, the coaches in our region still decided that they didn't want to do that schedule anymore. So, as far as the non-region schedule, we kind of got to get whoever we can get. Of course, we try to keep Brantley and Hilliard on the schedule every single year because, it's close.
Right.
And McIntosh, with Coach Helgren being here before, so, we try to stay on the schedule as well. Islands is new. We did scrimmage with Bacon before, and I think they got a new coach or something like that, and they didn't want to do it anymore, so we had to go find somebody else. So we'll go to Islands for the scrimmage this year. Next year they'll come here.
Islands, Savannah coach.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah.
Yeah, that's right. And so, the non-region schedule is important because, it helps you see people outside bigger classifications in a lot of situations. But we treat them just like every other game that, it's a game we got to go win, no matter who it is.
Right. Well, we know you guys, even though you're off, we're not playing baseball, just for those 8 or 9 months, you guys are out doing things, fundraisers, et cetera, stuff like that. Tell us some of the things that y'all have done as fundraisers and stuff you got coming up for the fans to know about.
Well, for our guys, August and September are the only 2 months we haven't been playing some kind of baseball.
Right.
So, but we have went through several fundraisers. We just finished our Distance for Pennies. We did that today, and we did the blackout T-shirts for our blackout game, which is the home game versus Atco. I can't remember the exact date of that, but you can still get a blackout T-shirt if you want. $15 for short sleeve, $20 for long sleeve. Just send me an email or ask any baseball player; they can get you one. But we've just finished our last fundraiser of the year. It was the 6th fundraiser that we did this year, and that was done. Today was the end of it. But we can still get more T-shirts.
Yeah. Anything new on the field or during the season that the fans are going to look forward to? Any kind of changes, or maybe I'll make it a little more specific. Is there any new rule changes this year that fans need to know about?
No, not nothing that I can think of that's going to be noteworthy. But as far as the field goes, hopefully we'll have it greened up a little bit by the time the season starts. That cold weather just kind of hit us pretty bad, and other than that, we just trying to get everything cleaned up and ready to go. We do have hats and pregame shirts like this one for people if they want to buy them. They can get them at the concession stand, and of course we have the concession stand going when we get started at home. But that's not for. I think we play at home next Wednesday. That was there was a change on the schedule where I think our first home game was a doubleheader versus Eccles, and that was on Tuesday. Well, that game has been moved to Wednesday out of Eccles' request, so that is a little bit of a schedule change there. But other than that, that's about all the new info that's going on.
Yeah. What you got? You got something you got wrote down, or you want to tell us about, or talk?
No,
anything specific you want to talk about?
This is just some game plan stuff we have for tomorrow, and I just wanted to make sure I mentioned our newcomers, and as far as the varsity guys, I think we covered that. We have a lot of players that we really need to step up big. I can't say enough about Colton Beard. He's taken on a responsibility that is just tremendous, and you guys know defensively we got some really good play behind the plate from Eli and Chase, and those guys were behind the plate. They were effort all over the place during the game, which is exactly what we want. And we're kind of lacking that a little bit right now because they're just not used to it. They don't understand and I'm not talking about just the catchers. I'm talking about a lot of our new players. They don't understand the intensity of the game and how much is really going on. And and I tell them all the time, it's tiring to run the base. It's tiring to have an at bat. It's tiring to pitch. It's tiring to play shortstop. Yeah. You are working. There's something going on all the time, and so that's another one of the challenges that we're trying to get through these guys. But really, really looking forward to Colton Beard stepping up behind the plate for us because he's got big shoes to fill. Right. The same with Brantley in center field.
I know, especially when you talk about the mental thing with that, especially with the catchers. I know you've referred to your catchers in the past as field generals.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more going on than just calling pitches with those guys. Can you take us through what those catchers are actually dealing with, on the field as far as like runners, positions, scenarios, that kind of thing? There's a lot going on. You're not just playing catch back there.
That's exactly right. I mean, you have to call the proper pitches. And you have to get messages from the coaches when necessary for the proper pitches. You also have to communicate with your first baseman, your third baseman, your shortstop, and your second baseman. This communication's happening throughout the game, whether you know it is happening or not. And there's glove signs, hand signs, verbal signs. There's all kinds of stuff. And you are right. The catcher is in charge. It really is in charge of the game. The pitcher's not in charge. The catcher's in charge. Now, we like to give our pitchers as much freedom as we want because we want a pitcher to throw pitches with confidence. But we also want the catcher to give that pitcher confidence. And that's something you got to learn to do. And so he's working on it. He's working hard. He's a good player, and I just expect him to do it.
Well, that kind of comes back to the leadership that's on the team. You got some of the players that have been playing for 2 or 3 years on the varsity level. They can kind of go around. A lot of them play different positions,
right?
And they can kind of teach the younger guys on what they're seeing and what they need to do. Where you don't really have that for the catcher back there, so he's kind of on his own with you guys as coaches.
Well, you know what? That's right. But we do have people like Ethan Crawford on the field, who's played a ton of varsity baseball games, and you got Griffin Thomas on the field, and those guys are going to help keep them guys straight. And Ethan specifically, he's done a good job at practice of trying to keep people motivated, doing the thing that I talked about earlier where he's like, I can see him talking to players, right, like reminding them of what to do before they get barked at, okay, or he'll see the mistake and maybe I didn't see it and he corrects it, so, it's really a good thing when your players are trying to help your players be successful. They're supposed to compete in practice.
Right.
I mean, they're all trying to start. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you want to start. If you don't want to start, what are you doing?
That's right.
Nevertheless, it's a sign of a good team when your good players are helping other players get good as well. Right. And I've seen that. I saw it specifically from Ethan today, and I've seen it from our other seniors, including Griffin and Slade. And like I said, Slade, he moved in last year in the middle of the year, so he had to play JV, and so he's really looking forward to get a chance to do his thing, And so I'm excited for him because he'd have found his way in the lineup last year if he could. But we have him now, so now's his chance. So I hope he blows up and does a great job.
You got anything? I want to ask you one more thing about tomorrow as far as streaming. Or can we go to that tomorrow? Because I've never been to Islands. Do you know anything about that? Is that something you can check on for us?
I can check on. I'll check on that in the morning for you. I've been there before, but it's been several years since we went over there. But I will text their coach tonight, and I'll let you know tonight about what's going on.
Because I know our fan base, your fan base, they're wanting to know. They're already, I'm already getting it. Are y'all going? I don't know yet, but I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, we had a couple of former Chris Smith and Michael Taylor. I don't know if you remember these guys, but it was back in 2011, I think, is when Michael graduated. 2012 is when we played Providence for the state championship. Chris Smith was the game one pitcher, and we won that game and then lost the next two.
Oh, okay.
And that was when public-private was together, so that was a really good team. Drew Gowan was the catcher, and that was just way back then. But anyway, Chris and Michael got together and got this bat that they wanted to donate to the team. Like, it got us a new bat. And I was talking to Michael yesterday when he gave us the bat, and he was like, I got these little kids running around the house, so it's a whole lot easier for me to watch it on CSN than it is for me to bring him out to the field. But he's about old enough where I'm going to bring him to the field, but it's really nice to have CSN. So you are appreciated. I appreciate it, and I know that
appreciate it.
I know that the Charlton County faithful look forward to seeing it.
I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but Sammy and I, state championships 2 years ago. 2 years ago, right? We're coming through one of these little small Georgia towns. Sammy and I, middle of the night, I do not have my production trailer with me. We are not marked.
Right.
Going through the McDonald's drive-thru, kids hear our voices. We get to the window. He says, "You guys did the baseball game."
Oh,
We're
man.
in some town in the middle
cool.
of nowhere, Georgia, and these kids were watching, the webcast from up there from Georgia Southern and recognized Sammy's voice on here. So I mean, it's wild.
That's
the
pretty
reach
awesome.
we have. It's insane.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's great.
It's pretty cool, and I'm glad that your players, not only modern day, but the 2011 guys, they go back and watch.
Yeah, it's great. I was like, man, that's all. I can't wait to tell Adam about that. I thought it was super cool, And so
cool.
so he's got little kids and he wants to bring them out here, but he's got to keep them in the house, so he watched it on the CSN. So
sometimes it's a little bit warmer sitting at the house than it is today.
You're not kidding.
I've gotten fired up again about it now because now I can hear you guys.
Yeah.
With my implant, and I get to participate more than years. I was like a dummy on the wall. Some years I felt like. Yeah. But I'm back, so
That's
I'm
good.
excited about that. I'll drive all y'all nuts.
We'll have some jackets for sale too with the spear on them. So that's something new that we got. We haven't had that before, but we'll have some jackets for sale in the concession stand and stuff like that. So, but I'm excited to get started. I know the players are excited to get started, and it's just. I felt like that, last year we probably got beat by a better team, but I felt like we could have won. We had a chance if we just played better. And we just got to find out how or why we didn't play better.
Right.
And if you could figure those things out, then you'd probably make a lot of money. But we're just trying to find a way to play better. And so I guess it all starts tomorrow for sure when people are watching.
Actually, one of your former players, Derek King, 2012 team, right?
Derek King, yeah.
He owns True Force Roofing now. Mm-hmm. He's an advertiser on CSN.
Awesome.
So it's come full circle.
Yep.
He's down there in Gainesville, Florida. He's advertising on CSN for the Indians.
Derek King's great. He was the catcher for 2 state championship teams, 2013 and 14.
And he went on to play college ball too, right?
He did. And he was one of those guys who when he entered in the 9th grade, we had no plans of him doing anything.
It's amazing how all that comes around.
He just worked and worked and worked and just got better and just I love Derek King. Jesse King, who was the pitcher back then with those guys. I think it's Brantley Nettles is his nephew or cousin. I don't know. Anyway, we were talking about the other day. So Jesse King's been talking to him about some pitching stuff, so maybe get to see some of that on display tomorrow during the game when Brantley gets up there. So you guys will remember this conversation when you see him because he looks a little bit like him too, just a little bit.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I think that's
Good?
it.
No, excited to get started. Appreciate you coming out and letting us.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad for it. I'm glad to talk about the players and I just hope we can put on a good show for everybody.
Coach, good luck.
Yep, thank you so much.
We'll be there.
Good.
If we can get permission to go tomorrow, first pitch 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock
Yep.
at the Islands, and we'll post either way. We'll post an address for fans. The Road Warriors going up there to follow you guys.
Okay, good. I'll try to get you guys a starting lineup before we get going.
Yeah. All right. Thank y'all for watching the Coach Marchman Show.